I'll be basically talking on the basic principles of strength and conditioning which are involved in the cricket. So as we all know, cricket is often termed as a gentleman's game, and it was basically evolved from the colonial roots to today achieving the global acclaim. And it is the second most popular sports worldwide after soccer, with a massive fan following of almost 2.5 billion. Major tournaments like ICC Cricket World Cup and IPL have drawn hundreds of millions of viewers, highlighting the sport's vast global reach. So how basically the physical demands have evolved in cricket. So cricket has witnessed significant evolution over the years with the changing formats and increasing intensities. The introduction of shorter formats like T20 have actually made the game more dynamic and physically challenging. A study comparing the player movement patterns between one-day and test cricket have found that one-day cricket requires more higher running than multi-day games. Similarly, an international multi-day cricket match demands more physical exertion than as compared to a state-level match. Another study on simulated cricket batting innings for one-day international emphasized the high-intensity demands for batting, requiring bursts of energy of stamina. So why actually the strength and conditioning is required? So I'm talking about the batting performance. Obviously, to enhance the batting performance of the batsman, the strength and conditioning they basically improve the core stability, which is crucial for the batting power and the technique. Enhanced muscle strength, which leads to more powerful shots and better endurance during the long innings. For bowlers, you get a higher speed, higher bowling speed. The strength training, especially for the lower body and the core, can contribute to the increased bowling speeds. A review of the athletic profile of the fast bowling in the cricket highlighted the importance of strength and conditioning for optimizing the performance of the bowlers. If you talk about the fielding counterparts, it again is used to enhance the agility drills and plyometric exercises. Basically, he can dive, chase, throw, and effectively throughout the match, which is commonly seen in today's, more commonly in T20 and one-day formats. Another component is injury prevention. So when the cricketer is well trained, or his strength and conditioning is done to optimal levels, it actually reduces the risk of injury in those cases. So basically emphasizing on the eccentric strength training, especially for the hamstring, has been actually proven to be helpful in prevention of the strains. Comprehensive strength training strategies have shown to be effective in preventing sports injuries, including sprains and other stress injuries. The key area of focus are the strength training. So I will be talking about all the three components. The batsman, require more of a core strengthening exercises, which improve the stability and the power in the shots they are playing. For bowlers, the lower limb and the core strength can contribute to the increased bowling speed and endurance. If you talk about the fielders, the upper body strength is essential for the powerful throws which they are making from around the field. Endurance is very much important in most commonly you see in the one day or the test patterns. So basically stamina is vital when the longer duration of the games are played. So aerobic exercises, the interval running and sport specific drills, they can actually build a cricket specific endurance in those players. Power and agility again play a major role. So explosive action like fast bowling, power hitting and quick fielding require a significant power and agility in the players. Similarly, you require a good amount of flexibility and speed, which is commonly, you require a good amount of these components when you are playing through the shorter versions. Talking about the practical examples, for example, for the batsman, how do you train the core strengthening muscle? How do you train your core muscles? You need to activate the core muscles to the optimal level so that they are actually able to, match the international standards. So the basic exercises which you always do are the planks, along with the Russian twist, which actually increase your core strength along with that. When you are training for the, the power hitting, the plyometrics play a major role. You try out with the box jumps and the medical ball slams in a gym. That is actually you're mimicking the same kind of activity which is seen on the field. For bowlers, the shoulder and the back strengthening is a major component. So if the shoulder and the back is strong enough and he has not have any injuries in the past, so training these muscles will actually lead to increased bowling speed performances. If you're talking about the lower leg muscle exercises, the squats and the lunges actually play a role. You can obviously modify them according to the, the type of the weight you're putting up. You're doing it with a barbell, with a, doing the full squats or the half squats meanwhile. For fielders, the agility and the sprinting activities are very much important because you have to, go for a repeated short-term burst of sprinting. You have to run 20 meters right side again on the next ball. You have to run another direction. So you need to have a good amount of sprinting training in that particular cases. Reaction time is equally important, how actually you are responding to them. So very good example of a good reaction time is our Indian cricketer Virat Kohli. So how he just catches the ball, whether he's standing on any position, whether if he's on the outfield, he immediately stops the ball. If he's getting on the slip positions, he gets the catch in a very quick reaction time. General conditioning is equally important. You start up with the circuit training and the stretching routines, which have to be followed out. The warm-up and cool-down, they are the main components of the game. You cannot start a game without a warm-up, and you cannot finish it without a cool-down. So what role the recovery does play? So in the yesterday's panel discussion also, Mr. Irfan Pathan discussed the role of recovery, the time period they are getting in between, the different championships. So at least you tend to have a good amount of recovery phase in that, so that the body is actually, able to compensate with the physiological demand. So with the physiological processes, if any kind of injury, it cannot be, speed up that process. It takes its own time. Sleep and hydration play an equally important role. So it is a critical component that is basically facilitates the muscle repair and cognitive function restoration. And cricketer, or any kind of athlete, he needs to have a minimum of 7 to 9 hours of sound sleep to actually get the body to the optimal working conditions. Hydration is equally important because if you are not properly hydrated, it may lead to any kind of muscle cramps, which will lead to decreased performance, and you will be more prone to an injury risk. So how the fitness testing is done in cricket? So my BCCI colleague in the, I think, earlier session, he discussed the various tests they are doing. So to basically how you check the fitness of the athlete. So basically there are few tests, like 2-kilometer trial test is done. A repeated sprint ability test is done, which is like you get with the 40-meter sprints, or you get a repetitions of 6 sprints at a stretch, then you will be able to, monitor that what kind of lag is you are facing in that particular athlete. The yo-yo intermittent recovery test level 1 is more preferred because it gives you a period of active recovery as compared to the conventional test. Cricket mobility test is again done to check the flexibility and mobility of the athletes. The throwing strength and accuracy tests are done because it's not only the throwing which matters with the fielders. He has to actually, if he is looking for a run out of a batsman, he has to actually more accurately throw the ball at the stumps so that he's able to get the wicket for his team. So these things have to be taken into consideration. The bowler workload monitoring, as in the last lecture it was discussed, the GPS monitoring, we are doing it with the accelerometer based monitoring in our labs, in which you just place a chest strap on the athlete and you can monitor their cardiovascular variables along with that throughout the playing phase. I will just give you two examples, like the David Warner. So David Warner started as a T20 specialist. He was not able to play the longer versions of the cricket initially. But after that, the transformation took place. He trained his body well. He changed his nutritional pattern. He was, doing a good amount of psychological training also. So now he is an all-rounder. His fielding was not very good initially when he was a T20 hitter. So now after those transformations, it actually helped him a lot. So similar case was with the Dane Still. He had a lot of shoulder injuries initially in his career. His shoulder was not actually very much strong when he was, his bowling action was, doing something like that. So he went a biomechanical examinations, the modifications, and then he properly trained his shoulder. So now he is able to perform much better as compared to the initial things. So the take-home message is the modern cricketer faces challenges that demand not just skill but peak physical fitness. This game evolves naturally necessitates the focus of strength and conditioning to enhance the performance and lower the injury risk. Key areas are the strength training, endurance, agility, flexibility. The practical exercises tailored for all the three components, the batsmen, the bowlers and the fielders need to be done. Recovery is as vital as training. Similarly, you have to maintain your sleep patterns, maintain a good amount of nutritional guidance is needed in those cases. In a sense, it's a fusion of the skill and the fitness, which is a blueprint for success of our cricket. So aspiring cricketers and coaches, they must recognize and embark this synergy to reach the pinnacle in this sports. This is where I belong to. I am from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Thank you.